Hello to the ladies and hello to the gents. Chapter 4 of Lichess 4545. Let's get into it, boys and girls and ladies and everybody else. We are following the one and only. Please, Lord, show me where their names are. Checkmonk in the white trunks and Somethingpretentious in the black trunk and black trunks. And the opening is Sicilian Marozi bind. Very good. This is the principal choice to cover the center. We are working with theory here. Knight c2 is a retreat, but one that is an exception to the rule. Reason being, having gained significant positional advantage, we do not want to swap pieces because our positional advantage means that they have got less room for more pieces. Queen b6 should not have been played at all. Is it developing? No. Doing anything for the center? Well, both of them can be answered with yes, but in reality, no. It's not covering d4 well enough, will be kicked out. It's not really developing because you still have stuff at home that needs to come out, so shouldn't have occurred at all. Knight f6 was the way to go. Okay, knight c3, knight f6, bishop e2, castles, castles, very logical and good developing moves. d6, rook b1. Dang it, I thought that we could have called the queen, but after bishop e3, queen takes knight a4, the lady escapes via e5, and that hurts me a fair bit. What a pity. So rook b1 was necessary, but even though, and even so, white is doing splendidly well here. And now black has got this knight e5, knight g4 plan, which is a tad bit annoying, and against that the best and most effective way to play is f3, knight e5 and b3. And now we managed to build up the ultimate pawn chain that points towards the d5 square that black can never break out on. But we can plant pieces in there if we want to, and black is now utterly planless. He can't make progress. We can still move up the queen, bring the rook wherever we want, move up pawns, put stuff in the center. White's position is far easier to play and far more pleasant. Queen d2, knight e5, b3, knight g4, and now sadly we had to part with the bishops now, which is a bit awkward. Knight f6. This way I still quite like it actually for white, because after f3, we still have a respectable position with a lot of play in it. h6. Right, please, folks, please don't do this. I mean, especially not when you are like 1900. What the heck is this move? Like, oh god. Thank you, Lord, that you are not my student, because now you would be in for lots of trouble. This is a total waste of time, and I keep on saying this, and I keep on repeating myself because it hurts me to see moves like this. No goal, no aim, no plan, nothing whatsoever. I would like you to have another move, please, because that's doesn't make any sense. I don't know. So yeah, I'm really baffled about these moves, and I don't really know how to respond to them because I simply can't fathom what they were thinking when they played this move. The only one that my younger students do tell me a lot is that I didn't know what to do. Well, if you don't know what to do, then sit there and figure out what to do. And if after X amount of minutes of sitting there and figuring out you still don't know what to do, then keep on sitting and keep on figuring out. I much rather have you sit there for 45 minutes and lose the game than play this. Because that's just, yeah, telling me that you were too lazy to think. Because in this position, to play this as a waiting move is ridiculous. Waiting moves are to be played in endgames, where after the waiting move, the other side can only move a piece that will be harmful to them. Here, white has got 75 correct moves that would build the position up in a positive way, and so there is no such thing as waiting. This is ridiculous. The other thing, and that's a more productive piece of advice, what's your follow-up? What's your next move gonna be? Is it queen a5? Well, then why don't you play queen a5 here? So one way or another, But players who play moves like this really need to get out of that habit quick smart, because this is going to hurt them in the long run very badly. Alright, rook f c1, not sure about that. I would have definitely played rook e3 because I still don't know where this guy belongs, but I love the two knights creating a very firm grip on d5. Queen a5, knight e3, queen g5. What are you doing there, mate? Like, what's next? I'm again really puzzled, and understandably with positions where there is limited space that we can operate with, it's difficult to find a plan. I will grant it to you, but difficult versus impossible? Definitely not. a6 b5 strikes me as a very obvious and simple plan that is actually stock standard in the Maróczy bind. So a6, and then you can support it with queen a5, rook b8 and b5. And yes, this looks just as much of a bunny at first sight as this, except that this is a very important element of a very logical plan, where this is just a complete lemon. Right, this queen maneuver really beats me, and worse, so does knight e2. Where are you going? Like, this is a very typical reaction of amateur players. Oh my god, I'm worried that something is gonna happen. What exactly? Like, what are we expecting here to happen? That the Knight Riders of the Apocalypse will come into the room and grab our king and run away with it, or what exactly? Because for the life of me, I don't see a threat. Not only that I don't see a threat, I don't see how they can create one if they have got 5 moves in a row. Like, the position is definitely not right for black to create a kingside attack. It's structurally not the way how things should go. And always the bad move is the one when we are going back for no apparent reason. Dude, go forward. Chess is a simple game. Go forward. That way. It's very basic. They take you, you take them back, and look. Ta-da! We have got a winning penetration on c7. Likewise, bishop takes, pawn takes, and again, ta-da! Winning penetration. Rook goes in, you win. You can't possibly deal with the rook on c7, and swap is not possible because after the take, we lose a pawn, and a very important one at that. And I'm still sitting here thinking about what this is supposed to be or supposed to be doing, and honestly and genuinely, I've got zero idea. No idea whatsoever. And likewise, knight e2, I mean, what the heck? Like, the only move you don't want to play in this position as white is f4 because it makes the e4 pawn loose. And that's the only thing I can imagine that he wanted to do with knight e2. Okay, h5. Yeah, whatever. f4. And here, black missed a beautiful tactical strike. I have to show you this because it's stunning. Knight takes e4. Hitting the queen here. It is a really awesome tactics, guys. Watch this, you will love it. Oh, queen c2, hitting the knight, hitting the queen. Looks like we are in trouble. And bishop takes d4, a beautiful queen sacrifice. White has to accept, because if they take the bishop, then we just simply pinch another pawn and the game is over. And having accepted the queen sacrifice, check. King h1, and here comes the icing on the cake. Bishop f5. A very subtle, quiet move that exposes the queen to the attack, and knight check is going to win a queen no matter what white does here. It's a beautiful picture. The 3 minor pieces are dominating the queen, and black is winning. The nicest line out of all is probably queen b2, after which knight f2 check, king g1, and knight d1 check wins the queen. So that would have been a spectacular finish. It's a difficult task to calculate that, but black definitely should have looked at knight e4 instead of going back. That said, it's still very loose, and I don't like loose structures in the Maróczy because more often than not you find that you have to keep on pushing them further up and up and up to avoid losing material, which eventually is going to open up the diagonals for the bishops. Tac, 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 rook d8, good move, queen b2, Knight g4. I really like the way how black is playing this. We are basically going right away into a far advantageous endgame for two reasons. Because the bishop is superior to the knight in positions where pawns are on the can be found on both wings, and two, because black is dominating the only open file. Rook b2, sad necessity. Rook d3, excellent move. King f1. I'm not sure why we don't go to f2. There are 75 different reasons I can give you to go to f2 instead of f1. I will highlight the main two ones. I don't like to put any of my stuff on the same color of the bishop, just as a general rule. And number two, it looks like I'm going towards the center, which is what I'm supposed to do, as opposed to waste my time on the baseline. Okay, rook d8, brilliant. King e1, and this is where, again, things turned not necessarily for the greatest for black, because in this position white's only counterplay is based on pushing these pawns up, so asking white to play one of those moves with an extra tempo, not really the best. I would have preferred here king f6 followed by king f5, or h4, trying to force h3, which separates all these pawns, and then we can maybe push h3 in and thereby creating another extra penetrating square. But my favorite move here is definitely king f6, king f5 for the next two. Rook d6, not so much. c5, rook e6, b4. Now that is a mistake too. Potentially, king f2 right away may have been better. Problem with b4 is that after rook d4, black is winning the game by force, because now due to the pin the pawn is hanging, but this pawn is also hanging, because I'm threatening to take on e2 twice and then pinch one of these two, and I can't defend both of those pawns. So for example, just an example about how this game could have ended very rapidly here, and black is winning, that's it. Sadly, that was not spotted by black, who then played king f6 a bit too late, king f2, and he decided to swap right away, which I think it may have been premature, but this is looking rather annoying. I was looking at king f5, but after b5, this pawn is looking very nasty indeed. So, swapperoo, rook d4, c6 takes e6, and the game is going to melt into a draw very quickly here, which is a reasonable result from the position. The thing I don't like about it is how it ended in a draw. So let's go and slow down here a little bit, because endgame technique is something I haven't discussed a great deal so far, and it deserves to be discussed. Excellent move, rook a6, rook back. Sadly, we didn't have anything better to do with our lives here. You really hate to play moves like this, but sometimes you have to. Rook a5 back. Very clever move, cutting the black king off. Loving it. Rook there. King e4. I personally, in this position, would have preferred just to pass up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down till the end of times, because even if we go up there and they come here, the check is gonna send them back. Okay, so the problem is that with the game continuation, the king left these two pawns, and at that very moment, I would have not hesitated for a second to play rook c2. Because the reason why black is struggling so badly in this position to win, despite of the extra material, is the passivity of his pieces. In particular in rook endings, but in general in endgames, and in fact in general in chess, we prefer activity, freedom of our pieces over material. No brainer. Because if you sit here babysitting these pawns like black did in the game, guess what's going to happen? You can't win. But if you actually proactively try to do something on the board, that's when your chances will come about. Now here I think he can still drop back, but it was already a chance for white to go wrong by pinching this pawn, which would immediately grant black a winning position after taking this pawn. So that was opportunity number one. Rook pass, and a very unfortunate one, because general rule of thumb again about rook endings is that you want to keep your rook away from your enemy king. This makes no sense to me because we can't penetrate on these squares. If you put the rook on b7 instead, then you have got a large number of squares where you can do something with your rook. Once again, activity of pieces. And actually in the chat, the gentleman discussed that, yeah, there was no hope to win this rook ending. Yes, there was. Plenty of room, in fact. Okay, a4, don't necessarily, well, okay, I'm not gonna judge it just yet. King e7 puzzles me why it's happening, but it could be a part of a logical plan by bringing the king across, freeing the rook up. Makes total perfect sense to me. But that got denied. Very good. King f6, I would have waited here and play here, because I really want to use these side checks at the correct time or at the correct opportunity. Rook back, king back, no idea what you're doing, dude. Rook up, king up, and they agreed on draw. So what would I do now? First of all, put your king on f6, the rook goes back, you come here. And now again, you're threatening to come down here, which is one of my favorite threats in the position. But if they go back, the other thing I was looking at was check, king back, and potentially g5. But that's probably a tad bit risky, so I would like to stick with penetrating with the rook here. And see how we go. After king f3 though, we are still struggling with a little bit of lack of plan scenarios. Actually, look at that. Let's play h4. This is another thing that weaker players tend not to do, which is to push their pawns up to a degree where they are still safe, but they do damage. Because the damage what that pawn move does is that if I linger around on these two squares, now after coming here, king here, I have pawn h3. A magnificent way again to squeeze something that seemed to be totally impossible 2 moves ago out of this position. And after takes, rook takes, once again we have got realistic winning chances. And yes, I know it's gonna drop, I don't care. It is not really a biggie at this stage of the game. I also quite like the plan of playing g5, so let's say that in this position they play something like h3, g5. Swap these two dudes off. You have got now 2 pawns to roll forward. Beautiful. Need to change the pawn structure because this is a very infertile ground for black to make any sort of changes. So as soon as the opportunity arises, you go for it and you change the structure so that you also have a pass pawn, your king gets more active, and we're still not losing any material, by the by. So there was a lot of play in this rook ending left that was totally undiscovered or unattended to by both players, but primarily by black. But again, this draw was a little bit of a disappointment for black because this endgame should have been won easily here by king f6, king f5, and then in this position by rook d4. This is a hard tactics to see, but these are the game deciders, and as such we need to think about these things in the endgames because normally you only have an opportunity like this once. That said, I would have far preferred for black to win this game on that beautiful queen sack that I'm about to show you again. So in this position after f4, this beautiful line with knight e4, man, look at that. Oh, sorry. Taking the bishop, taking the knight with the choke, and then a silent move attacking the queen that has got no safe squares to go to. Wherever it goes, it's gonna be hunted down. Beautiful chess. Once again, queen b2, check, here, another choke, and the queen is gone ski. Would have been top effort. I'm still not disappointed. It was a very fascinating and entertaining game. There were some really strange moves played by black, like h6 and then this queen maneuver that really I don't understand. But other than that, the quality of the game was reasonably consistent, and yeah, you could see that it was certainly a higher level of chess than some of the games that we may have seen earlier, by which I do not mean to criticize those who play on the lower boards, but it is a good way to compare games and see how the level of the games would go up step by step. Alrighty, folks, I hope that this was yet another enjoyable analysis, and I will be back with the remaining 2 games very soon. Thanks a lot for tuning in again, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.